Hey guys, it's Blackjack with 396 guitars. We're back with the acoustic Fender. We did some repairs on it. We're going to go over what I've done, where we're at, and where we're going. So come along for the ride. Get everything in the movie. Focus, focus, focus. Why are you not focusing? Bear with me. Sorry about that, my camera wouldn't focus. Okay, so last video we were talking about the crack in the headstock. We have repaired it. You can even see where the glue, the CA glue, is showing more pronounced where the crack was. It goes right around to the side. So we're going to scrape a lot of that off. On a higher end guitar, I would sand it down, try to match or buff it up, and then re-clear coat it. Again, we're on a mid-level, guitar here. Really, we're just making it functional, but I am going to clean up some of that excess glue. You just take, it's very tedious. You take a little razor blade and scrape across it and try to clean some of that off, and then you can buff up the finish again. We still have to clean the neck and dress the fretboard, put the headstock back together. It's dry, it's ready to go, and it's holding beautifully, by the way. Remember, we had an issue back here where we could slide a feeler gauge in there. So while I had the CA glue out, remember how bad it was over here, while I had the glue out repairing the headstock, I wanted to get in there and repair that as well, and we were able to save this. I've sanded it down slightly here. I got all the pegs out, and for a guy that was in there jamming with a pick trying to pull these out, there is a tool to snap them out from the top, which I have, but they were so hammered in there that really all you got to do is reach in and pop them out through here, because they actually go all the way through. And apparently he didn't know that. That's okay, but I'll let him know, so next time he wants to restring his guitar, if one doesn't want to come out easily, you just get all the strings loosened and out of the way, stick your hand in there and pop it from inside gently. You don't want to get really after it. I'm wondering if his prying didn't pull this loose. It shouldn't, but I'm wondering if that might have been the case. Anyway, I have a new set of string pegs coming, because the other ones were, well, damn. Yeah, they were messed up beyond all belief, chewed to bits. So we're going to replace those. We're going to restring it with some new strings. I was unable to save the other strings, but as I said before, I buy strings in bulk, and I get a 3-pack of strings for this guitar, the same ones that he had on there that he just replaced a month ago. I get 3 sets for what he paid for 1 set at a guitar store. So, lesson learned, always talk to your Uncle Blackjack before you go doing stuff like that. The saddle. Remember, in the initial checkout, before we got into repairing all this up here and this down here, the string action is way, way high. I mean, damn high. So we're going to cut down the saddle, and I'm going to walk you through how we do that. These usually just pop out. Sometimes you'll run into some fool that's figured, oh, that needs to be glued in there. It does not. It just sits in that slot, and if you need to raise the action, that's the easy way. They make shims that go down in there that will actually raise your saddle up. If you have to lower the action, which is what we need to do on this guitar, I have measured and marked. Now, I'm not 100% sure my camera is going to pick up on that. I have a pencil mark on the bottom, which is flat, because this is actually flat in here. The radius of the neck, you can see, that's the pencil mark that goes across here. So the way we do that, now bear with me, I'm going to move this guitar out of the way and slide our tile in here. You need a known flat, perfectly flat surface. Now, sometimes these saddles on these acoustic instruments will carry a radius on the bottom. This particular one does not. That makes it a little easier. So what you do is you measure, and I've got about 1 millimeter, give or take, all the way across there that I want to knock off. And this is going to be my guideline to let me know that I'm lowering below where we were to start. So what you do is you take some, I have some 800 grit here, and you get on a flat surface. Don't do this on a rounded or wooden surface because they're imperfect, but this is perfect. In fact, you can feel where the tile is rocking on the bench. You know the bench is not straight. By the way, I put a flat edge on here and made sure, and I've used this piece of tile many times. So you just go to it, and don't favor one side or the other. Try to get it to go down evenly, and flip it around every once in a while so that you're cutting and sanding down evenly all the way across that flat edge. And every once in a while, layer down, make sure you're still flat. You can see I've taken some off. I'm going to continue with this. I'm going to pause the video slightly until we can get down to where that lower pencil mark disappears, because I know that's about how far we have to lower. Now, if I get it all back together and it's still not low enough, I have to start this exercise all over again. And if it doesn't get us the action where we need to be, that's a different repair. But I'm sure we'll be able to get where we have to be. I'm not going to show you me sanding and sanding and sanding. It'll take too long. So I'm going to save some video time, and I'll be right back. So we're back. You can see I've gone through quite a few. I've got down to where my pencil mark was, where my measurement said I want to take at least 1 millimeter, a little over 1 millimeter. We were 1 millimeter way above where we needed to be, and that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but with string action it is. So I'm going to stop there. I really don't like to put shims in because it can change the resonance. If I haven't gone far enough, I can cut it down some more. If I went too far, then I can put a shim in. But I know I didn't go too far. I left just the shadow of where my measurement is, and through experience, I've gotten this down to guesstimating. By the way, I've seen guys take these saddles like this for acoustic guitars and run over to the bench grinder and go and just grind away on them. You can't do that. I see high-end professional guys do it all the time. I guess they're far more confident in their skills to keep that edge flat and square. That's why I use the tile, and then I shine a light from the back side. I know that's glary, and to see it, make sure that it's completely flat. If there's any light shining through, then you know you went, it's gotten out of shape. Now, as I said, sometimes these things follow the curvature of the guitar top, but this one doesn't. This is the way this style is. So we're going to move forward. Let's get the tile and this stuff out of the way. Bear with me. In the interim, since the last video, I'm going to adjust here. Hold on, guys. Since the last video with this, I have been working on our solo Telecaster project, the one that I was so excited that had the binding. I'm not so excited about that binding anymore. That thing has turned out to be a real trial. Painting, which I don't like to begin with, but I wanted to do this one. I wanted to put my own paint job on it. Initially we were going to stain it, but that's another story and that's another video. But we're still working on it, and it is coming to life. We're going to clean this up. We're going to put the machines back in. We're going to restring it. I'm going to continue to clean everything. And once we restring it, and tune it up, we got to take our measurements, make sure that our string height is catching up to where we want to be with that little number, and go from there. So stand by. We're going to get this scrubbed down. Okay, of course we're here doing, you've seen this a million times before. We spray it down, we clean it and wipe it, and oh my God. Okay, course, we're gonna do this twice because damn, it's filthy. Alright. This is just cleaning off the surface first, and then, you know, we always treat it with a little bit of linseed oil. This is the guy's utility guitar. He has it sitting in his shop all the time. Every time I stop by there, this guitar is sitting there, and in their downtime, they play guitar. I love them for that. Dirty, 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 though. And this was filthy, by the way, too. I cleaned that previously. I told you about it, but we're going to treat this too. It is a bare neck, rosewood, bare neck. Really filthy. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Doesn't give a very good tactile feel when you're playing it. This is the business end of the guitar. This is where your fingers touch. You want it to feel nice. That's why I go through this exercise. Plus, I want my customers to be happy with their guitar when they get it back. Never ceases to amaze me when I watch a guitar tech charge somebody $150 for, you know, setting up a guitar, and they don't take the time to clean it for their customer. I cannot reconcile that. If my customer likes me enough and trusts me enough to work on their gear, I'm going to take the extra time to clean it for them while it's here, because it's one of the most neglected things. You know, guitar players want to play. There are very few of us, and I'm a player myself. I'm a bass player by trade, as I've said many times before, and I play in a band. I'm the exception to the rule. I clean and take care of my guitars myself, but other players don't. They just want to play. They can't be bothered or don't have the time to go through these exercises. The way that I clean and treat a neck and do a fret dressing, or treat the rosewood like this. You know, treat the fretboard with boiled linseed oil. This is going to help how the guitar feels, plays, stays in tune, all that stuff. And it preserves this wood. Wood is a living, breathing thing, and even though it's old and it's cut and it's dried out, it doesn't have roots in the ground anymore, but it still breathes. It still expands and contracts and bends and bows, and you know, these kind of treatments are what help it maintain throughout the decades. So you see what we do. Most of that dirt has come off. Let's get a clean one and finish with that. And then we're going to, of course, wipe everything else down. I am going to pause here again. I don't like to show every little aspect of everything, especially I've shown it in many, many, many videos. So bear with me whenever I pause. It's because I want to save video time and move on to the next part of this job. So stand by. Okay, so I cleaned up the glue a little bit because of the curvature of the headstock. I don't want to get after it too much. It just doesn't, it's counterproductive, but you can see right there where the repair was made. Sorry about the glare. I guess it is pretty bad there, but you can see right there where the repair was. And it took beautifully. It's not flexing at all, which means the guitar will stay in tune. Before when it was cracked and you had string tension on there, that crack was flexing and letting the headstock move. It was like having its own natural whammy, but uncontrollable. So let's get this thing put back together. Some of these are not exactly straight, but I got them as straight as I think I can, and I'm going to tighten them down here and on the other side as I'm installing these back in. And I love these kind of tuners because they have a bushing that is threaded and actually runs right down into the machine. It's not a floating bushing, because that way you can keep them snug over time and, you know, make adjustments as needed. But I think we're going to be okay. I might be getting ahead of myself here. this crack went right through that hole. I may have to put a dollop of wood glue in there to hold that screw fast, because I'm sure that that hole has been affected by the crack. And I'm thinking some of the CA glue got in there, and that should be enough. We'll see in a few minutes, that's for certain. Sorry about my head if that's all you're seeing. Get my screws out of here. Get the right screwdriver. This guy. Yeah, beautiful. That's the one that was repaired. Let's see if it draws up snug enough. Yes, it does. So I was correct. Some of that CA glue got in there. Let's get this one in. I'm not driving it home because I still want it to be able to flex slightly. These were all a little bit loose. I think I'm going to check the bushing on the other. That seems stripped. Close, but not quite. Get on the other side. How do they look? They look pretty straight. So let's hold them and get them tightened up. This end. 10 millimeter, yeah. And that's as tight as they need to be. You don't need to put a wrench on it. Get a good snug turn with your fingers on the socket. That one's pretty tight. That one was loose. That one was loose. So they're all snug now. Yep. Again, this isn't a motorcycle. It's not going to vibrate loose. It's just a guitar. Now when I string it up, there is another adjustment on the end of these peg heads that gives you more, either a harder turn or a lighter turn. And those things are, like this one's really loose. I know that one needs just to be snugged up. And they don't take much. And it's not that you're tightening anything. All you're doing is changing how much drag is on that gear. That one's slightly loose. Now when you put strings on it, they're going to be a little bit different. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so today's lesson was grinding down to get better string action when we get ready to string this up. Unfortunately, that is not going to happen in this video because my delivery did not come yet, and it's a holiday, so happy 4th of July, by the way. Independence Day is an important holiday in this country. It is for me. I hope it is for you too. We're going to burn some meat on the grill and drink some beer later. I hope you all have a great time. Remember, this is Blackjack with 396 Guitars. Have a great 4th of July. Burn some meat on the grill, drink some beer, and be nice to everyone you run into. We'll talk soon.